Alright, boys and girls, we have the next game coming up, and it is Fnatic versus Epsilon. And currently, we are actually in the round of 8 already. So in the quarterfinals, we are here at the Dreamhack Tour qualifier number 2. And after Fnatic kind of failed a little bit yesterday in the last round and defeated themselves, they are in for their second try. Fnatic going up against Epsilon now, and Battlefield of Eternity is going to be the first map, which Fnatic actually banning out Muradin, and Epsilon locking down or banning that Grey main, since of course Quarknixon's Fnatic is incredibly strong on the hero and they want to deny that immediately. I'm Khaldor, and with me is once again Tetcher for the commentary here at the Dreamhack Tour qualifier.
Yeah, and Fnatic immediately starting off with some heavy tank focus, banning the Muradin, picking the ETC as their first pick here. Very interesting and very aggressive start for them. That ETC can really controls the picks of Epsilon from the start.
Yeah, ETC is one of the preferred heroes on Breeze's side, and Fnatic, they love to play that hero, and the priority on him is actually crazy. It's actually really funny because I watch a lot of their scrims, and sometimes I even was in the conversation in the voice chat, and Breeze had one moment just recently where he pulled again a bit of a mistake with his hotkeys and suddenly just started to randomly use a mosh pit on the map. And he was not happy about it, and everybody else on the side of Fnatic had a good laugh about it. They won that game regardless, though, but it was always funny when that happens, and you can tease him a little bit about it. His ETC is very solid, though, and that's one of the reasons why they lock him down first. Epsilon, then again, there's a lot of ways of how they can open this up. Battlefield is a map where you can especially put a focus on Tyrande again if you want to burst down that Immortal. There's a lot of heroes that are very strong here, like a Sylvanas, for example, that can use Barb Shot against the Immortal as well. Poke is important, where Li Ming comes into play. But Epsilon starts things off with a super early Uther Tyrande. Wow!
Wow,
double support.
Double support in exchange for one tank ban, one tank pick. So Epsilon, they know Fnatic are trying to limit their options, so they immediately and directly limit the Fnatic options. And the fact is, I would like to point out, if Epsilon really wanted to start limiting the options, they could just pick up Kharazim here and run him as melee assassin and just limit their force even more.
Yeah, and well, first of all, thanks Snazek for the support, my friend. The Illidan apparently seems to be
Illidan is tempting me. Change it with Tyrell.
Tyrell, actually we didn't have a Tyrell for a long time here in this particular setup, so yeah, Tyrell GB it is. Thanks for the support, my friend, again. But as we've been talking about this setup here, it's actually really interesting, as Tetcher already pointed out, that double support that we have at the start is, we've been talking a lot about double support during the cast in the last few days. How you can enable a Sonya, an Illidan, a Thrall, and get a lot of value out of it. By the way, Illidan not banned here yet. But having Tyrande Uther allows you to put the vulnerable on the Immortal to burst it down. You can use the Tyrande as well for the Starfall. Uther can enable any kind of frontliner. And that is going to be pretty incredible here for Epsilon. I feel like Fnatic is now forced into an Illidan ban. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd say they kind of have to. They really need to limit that away from Epsilon, or Epsilon are just going to take it and just tear up with it, because Divine Shield plus the extra feeling of Tyrande, the CC, and the Starfall to slow you down while you're trying to get away from Illidan, that would be a huge issue. Epsilon, on the other hand, they're going to limit the protection for Thrall in this fight, at least, by looking to ban out either that Tassadar or the Rhaegar, limiting the support options for Fnatic again. They get rid of that Rhaegar.
Yeah, Epsilon definitely with a pretty interesting opening here. They had a double pick at the start, pick a double support, ban out support. Tassadar is still around, but Rhaegar banned, and Fnatic now, do they ban Illidan? Then they might have to deal with Sonya, of course. So do they really have a chance to do that? They could, of course, attempt to limit the tank options of Epsilon instead, but for now it seems like Falstad is more something that they are concerned about. With, yeah, he is still very strong on this map and on any map here with his mobility. But that opening for Epsilon, definitely something that we did not see lots today. It's very strong now, though, depending what they pick up. I mean, think about what their options are. They can go into the Haka, they have a Johanna available, they can go into the Stitches with Tyrande and Uther stun as a follow-up. They have the opportunity to go into a Vala for extra damage. We have that Illidan if they want to play a melee assassin style. They are incredibly flexible with the double support opening here.
Yeah, anything they pick here is going to be pretty strong for them. Question of what they want to put their priority on. They don't need to pick too much range damage. That's a Zeratul. Is that a snipe Zeratul, or is that just going to be a Divine Shield the Zeratul and let him just wreck stuff?
We could, with this setup, see him actually go into a Shadow Assault. I don't really expect it, don't get me wrong. I mean, Void Prison is just too good. But in theory, that would work. If you put a Divine Shield on him and he Shadow Assaults Li Ming, well, have fun keeping her alive, especially with Rhaegar banned out and Uther taken away. There is no panic button available anymore. And as expected and already theorized about, Stitches taken. Stitches hook into Tyrande stun and Uther stun. If you get hooked by that bad boy, you are as good as dead.
Yeah, that is very, very scary. Zeratul with some burst damage as well to add to that. So that could be very, very dangerous. They just need I'd say they probably need a bit more range damage or a second warrior, unless they want to run Tyrande as their solo range damage, which would be very interesting.
I would like to see a Vala here, and as you already said, Tyrande in this case doesn't even have to go for an Owl build. She can easily just simply add, for example, these Searing Arrows now, and that's something that she can do. Also, Ranger on level 1 would be a great talent for her. They are double support, so in this case it would work perfectly for them. Fnatic with a Tacita doesn't surprise too much. I suppose they could go Brightwing to also have some vision here. Charism could actually play even a Charism with a Tacita as well. Put a little bit of double support on their own side. Keep that Thrall alive. Gain vision with Tacita and his D against Zeratul and also against the positioning of Stitches. So they can have an easier time dodging the hook. Could go into a ranged hero now as well. There's a couple of options for Fnatic, but you can really feel that they are pressured right now as Epsilon is limiting their options when it comes to support and forces them more or less into that setup here.
Yeah, I like the idea of picking the Tastar here. I agree with that. But Sylvanas would also be quite nice for them. Silence those backline supports, or I guess they could mind control. Illidan can't blink away if he's mind controlled.
Zagara would be good vision on the map as well. Sylvanas, as we said before, would be amazing for them to burst down the Immortal. The Barb Shot on level 7 is just so strong, and if you actually get the Immortal, you can get so much value out of it. We have seen teams snowball incredibly well early on when they were able to pick up an early Immortal thanks to Sylvanas, and that's something that Fnatic apparently is hoping for now. Epsilon, they have the last pick though. Range damage is something that they don't really have too much. Tyrande could, of course, talent towards range damage, but there's still Vala around. You can go into a Vala if you want at this point. Epsilon is also one of the teams that oftentimes played a bit with Lunara, even though at this point I would say Vala is probably the better option since she can also put a lot of single target damage on. Kel'Thas, I would like it too. It's good poke. It's really good poke that they have with it. And it is another disable. Like, they have a Void Prison, and then they have stuns on basically every other hero that they are currently running here.
Yeah, that's going to be very, very strong for them. They have, depending on what build Zeratul goes for, if he goes for Cleave build, they have an insane amount of AoE damage as well.
This is a sick setup that they have, and that double support at the beginning of the game definitely surprising Fnatic a bit, I would say. But Fnatic's lineup is still pretty solid, so this is going to be a fun one. Battlefield of Eternity, guys. The first game in a best-of-3 series here between Fnatic and Epsilon. The first game on Battlefield of Eternity between Fnatic and Epsilon has started. And to the left side of the map, we are seeing Breeze on ETC here in the round of 8 of the Dreamhack Tour qualifier. The qualifier for the second regional final in Europe. Ethereangel on Thrall, Quacknix on Sylvanas. We have Shrimpy on Li Ming and Smexy on Charism. To the right side of the map for the red team, for Team Epsilon, Stalk on Stitches, Andilendi on Kel'Thas, Styr on Zeratul, Unstable on Uther, and Muff is playing Tyrande. A huge focus on that double support at the beginning of the draft, and interesting talents already taken here. Not only do we have a block on Zeratul, block overall of course, getting a lot more popular thanks to the recent changes, but on the side of Stitches, we're actually seeing him with Dampen Magic.
Yeah, which is going to be nice against the Li Ming and the Sylvanas a little bit here as well, just blocking as much damage as possible. Did it have its damage reduced or the cooldown reduced? I remember it being changed in some way.
Yeah, they changed it in the last patch just slightly. I mean, overall, when they come to the talent, they did a few of the things there. I actually don't remember what exactly the changes were, so...
I'm pretty sure it was a nerf.
It was definitely a nerf to the talent, yeah, that was definitely true. So for Stalk, it's actually also interesting that they always put that on a generic talent change and didn't really, like, specifically target Stitches with it in most cases.
True.
That magic, like the charges were actually reduced from 2 to 1 if I'm not mistaken.
That's
so
the one,
they increased the duration as well. Like, it was actually like a pretty significant change to the talent. The charge reduction was halved, I think, and at the same time the duration was a little bit increased, I think by half a second from 1 to 1.5. But overall the talent is of course still pretty strong here. So in this case, with the damage ability reduction, if you're playing as the solo frontliner, it's a great talent to pick up on if you feel you're not going to get the stacks on your Hungry for More. And on this map, you usually don't get as many as on others, so Stork just making that adjustment because he feels he's not going to get enough globes on the map.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense here. Another hero who's not going for a globe talent this time, or actually the other talent not going for Astral Presence or the Power Hungry. It is the Force Armor on the Li Ming here to help protect against the Kael'thas, and like we said, because she's going to have a little bit more trouble picking up globes for Power Hungry.
Yeah, oh, and already a bit of a trap there being set, but in this case the stun on Tyrande is slightly too late to have an impact. We have that paralysis taken on Sylvanas, which is of course one of the talents that you can always aim for if you want to get a little bit more value out of the push. And we've been talking about that during the draft. If you pick up an Immortal here, you can get incredible value out of it. Breeze with good zoning at the front already. He is the solo tank for his team, but Thrall is helping out a little bit. Yeah, they are being split at this point, and there's the lockdown attempt against Quackness. Not happening though. Smexy jumped in for the heal, and the turnaround attempt against Stork, who falls to the Chain Lightning on Thrall.
Yeah, they are doing a good job, Fnatic, right now with the control, and also they have had amazing splitting so far this game to not spread the chain bomb of Kael'thas. They have been on point with not being near each other for that explosion damage. It's been really impressive.
For me, it's still a little bit of a surprise that we have Kael'thas going into that mana. I think you already touched upon that, but I really thought he would go into the Fell Infusion instead. I think that the talent overall is very, very strong. And on this map in particular, you usually don't really end up with the amount of stacks that you get on any other map. And most of the Kael'thas players that we've seen have, even on maps like Tomb of the Spider Queen, where you are bound to get a lot of stacks, not taken Mana Addict, but Fell Infusion instead. So Andy Lendy definitely with a very different style here on the hero so far.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird, but different styles we are talking about. We actually are seeing a Foresight on the Karazim to try and counter that Zeratul. Every time he dashes, he gains vision in like a mini Farsight area, which is brilliant. He can see over walls when he dashes to something near it, so he can get some good vision over where the enemies are hiding. Gets to reveal that Zeratul, so in case they get ganked, lovely talent from him.
Yeah, nice attempt to go for a hook stun. Didn't really work out, but look at the value that Sylvanas gives Fnatic's push now. We have Zeratul even moving down to the bottom because he needs to help out. Here's Maxi already dashing. They're trying to escape. Shrimpy's in a bit of trouble. Teleports away. Styr is on him though and takes him down. And the bombs explode against the rest of the team. But in experience, they are already behind the Russian team, that is. They are losing the fort at the bot lane thanks to Sylvanas. And at the top, of course, there's another wave that is being eliminated in the meantime as Thero Angel is still soaking the second lane.
Yeah, and as such, despite the kill coming out from Epsilon, his team still has the experience lead. They also were able to take the fort. So good job by Thero and good job by the rest of Fnatic for the moment. Smexy just hanging around in the bot lane, just soaking the XP, waiting for the minions to come to him and waiting for his team to get back.
Yeah, and that's really what Sylvanas is bringing to the table right now. Normally, Zeratul wouldn't even have moved down to the bot lane, but because there was so much pressure, he was forced to help them out with the defense, since Sylvanas with the 3 other heroes just pushed in for the fort. So Zeratul rotating down, missing a wave at the top as a result. Thrall still just staying on lane for the experience, and that allows them to pick up the earlier level 7. And they're also in a situation now, of course, where they have easy access to the bottom keep if they start to push that in. An attempt, on the other hand, to go for the camp has been spotted, and there's the hook, the stun, lockdown. Smexy is still dead. Great attempt by him to dash away, but it's a bit too late, and that was a very, very nice move on the side of Epsilon.
Yeah, some very nice stun locking by them, able to pick up that kill in convincing fashion. And with that, they now have their level 7s as well. We're seeing Kael'thas going for that Gravity Lapse build we saw yesterday, going for the extra damage on with the Gravity Crush on level 7 and the reduced cooldown with the Energy Royal on level 4.
Yeah, this is actually like one of those moments where we also have a situation in the game where the level 7 talent is going to allow especially Sylvanas to have even more impact on the objective. Since with the Barb Shot now taken, she can actually really help to burst down not only like minions and mercenaries, but also the Immortal itself so much faster. So the damage output on her is going to be very important for that upcoming fight in the middle of the map, and going to be a huge asset for them. They have to, of course, deal with all that burst damage that Tyrande applies to the opponent. That's why they are going for the defense first, trying to go for Tyrande, and Muff was a little bit out of position there, and he's taken down. Great kill for Fnatic and an amazing start for them going into that second Immortal fight.
Yeah, looking really good for them already. Playing on a defensive, but they've sent a Thera Angel once again off to do his own thing and start on the Epsilon Immortal. Whereas Fnatic continuing to defend theirs. We saw Breeze going very aggressively onto where they'd found Steer there to defend against him. And right now they're bullying Stitches quite a bit. Who, having two supports, didn't take the Amplified Healing, instead went for the Putrid Ground.
Yeah, Shrimpy is there. Warple Blades can be used. Smexy is on the job, though. Dashing in and going for the heal. Nice attempt to go for the hook, but Stalk does miss Li Ming, and therefore she's able to get away here. Already the Immortal of Epsilon on half HP, thanks to Thrall and Sylvanas, and they're going in for the kill.
Yeah, and they managed to root Zeratul here, who is turning it around onto a Thera Angel after getting healed. And a Thera Angel in serious trouble. He gets picked off it, and Fnatic forced to reposition back further towards their base.
Yeah, the big problem that we're having on the other hand for their opponent is that they have Zeratul at the top now trying to go for the Immortal to put some damage on it, which turns the fight down here into a 4 versus 4. Already Stalk zoning for the rest of the team. Zeratul is doing an incredible job, but it's only a small burst that they really need to claim the Immortal, and they're starting to win with this. Thrall is on the way back already as we speak. Here comes Zeratul. He knows that he has to help out. Smexy needs to dash away somehow, has the cooldown ready. So much damage on Kel'Thur's side, and the kill against Karazim. The Immortal is still alive for Epsilon.
Yeah, they are still defending this, and Steer thinking about going up to the Fnatic Immortal to start working that down himself while the rest of his team defends, and that is what they end up doing. Steer has been on point though with these snipes, with these Vorpal Blades, by sneaking in and doing a huge amount of damage, but that does mean without him there, they are able to get the Immortal. Athera, though, gets hooked in but is able to survive.
Yeah, and one of the main reasons why he is able to survive is that Karazim was not with him. Karazim had to move down to the bottom of the map because there was one camp still pushing against the wall here. So job well done by Fnatic, taking that camp just in time with the Immortal appearing on the map, and now they have again a massive push going on for them at the top lane, which will also deliver an earlier level 10 to help them to push this even further. There's the heroic ability, Sylvanas doing her thing, disabling the structures. Wave of Force has been used, has been picked. We have also now, again, the heroics for Epsilon on point, but the problem still for them is that with this Immortal being assisted by Sylvanas, it's going to get incredible damage. And Breeze again with a mosh pit fail!
Has to work out his hotkeys. Seriously, dude. He dashes in, though, gets a good stun onto Steer, who also manages to fail his heroic, missing the Void Prison, and that was just a cavalcade of failure.
Yeah, Clown Fiesta 2.0, that's what we're currently seeing here. First Breeze saying, like, you know what, mosh kappa kappa, puts it into the middle of nowhere with not even a hero being close, and then that Void Prison is also getting triggered.
Breeze even needs to learn or redo his hotkeys. This has happened way too often.
Yeah, that has definitely happened too often here. I'm not quite sure what exactly that was, but that was weird.
Well, he has a weird keyboard setup, if I remember correctly, where he basically uses Wasad to move the camera around. His abilities are on 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, well, definitely didn't work out for him here. That fight at the bot lane, or this push here, is great, though. I mean, that was actually incredible. They snuck in, and they said, like, guys, let's go for the wall. The more structures they take down here, the more value they're going to get out of the later Immortal. So that was actually, like, a very smart move. I like that Quacknix is also taking down the structures or the walls now to limit vision a bit more. But heroic abilities are now in play. 2 of the forts are already gone, and Fnatic, disregarding that little mosh pit fail over there, is still doing a very, very decent job here. I like the kill aggression that we're seeing.
They based out Void Prison.
Yeah, I like the kill aggression that we see out of Team Epsilon, but overall, Fnatic, when it comes to movements on the map and getting value out of that draft, is doing a bit of a better job.
Yeah, they are keeping a bit better control. They have now taken that Mercenary cap, but not going to cap it yet. Going to wait for the opportunity, aka when the Immortal starts to spawn. And Epsilon also doing the same thing, timing it though a little bit later, so they're going to be able to get it probably a better time actually. And because they apparently had quite a bit longer to wait, Fnatic just going to take this and instead go for a big push because they know everyone's missing, so they are probably doing the camp.
Yeah, they can really push this back, and they always time those Immortals or the camps pretty nicely. Smexy is usually the one keeping track for them on the timings, and he of course knows exactly when to take that now. But this camp is going to be defended against already Stalk and the rest of his team at the bot lane, with the exception of Styr on his Zeratul at the top. Fnatic, on the other hand, if they actually burst this wave away to the top, and, well, of course, if they get the shot against Zeratul, that would even be better. But if they can get level 13 before the Immortals spawn, that would be great for them.
Yeah, that would be fantastic for him. You saw the full combo come out there on no one. The hook into the Tyrande stun into the gravity lapse, but unfortunately the hook was not able to land there from Stalk. And level 13 is, in fact, available for Fnatic, so they're going to go super aggressive with this.
Yeah, Giant Killer, Illusionist, Relentless, the Will of the Forsaken for Sylvanas, and a Spell Shield even to dodge a lot of that damage. Breeze wants to be safe at the front line. Once more, the Immortal is being attacked here. No 13 yet for Epsilon. They are trying to go in with all of their heroic abilities, or at least most, and the Starfall hasn't been committed yet, but they have the cooldown ticking down on the Phoenix. A lot of damage already dished out against the Immortal of Epsilon, and they are desperate to get that extra talent. They send Zeratul to the top lane to get some experience. Breeze is being attacked again at the front line. He has that mosh pit up, could use that cooldown any moment now. Having a Thero also with the Sundering, he could start a bit of a setup for his tank.
He could indeed. They're looking for the opportunity right now. Fnatic very, very ahead in the Immortal, but 13 is just about to hit for Epsilon. Zeratul having to pop back into lane quickly to get the last minion, and now will come down to join the rest of his team, who are desperately trying to defend their Immortal.
Yeah, double Shrink Ray, by the way, has been taken right now, so that's going to be huge in these fights. That's definitely something that they can chain properly against Thrall and keep his damage at a minimum. And we're also seeing nice.
Good.
There's the Void Prison isolating 2. Mosh Pit being used immediately. Nobody there for the stun. Well played. Li Ming with the damage. Trying to get that in. Muff is down on Tyrande, but not before she was able to just simply use that Starfall. And Smaxy has to palm himself as monks do.
Yes, oh, Steer coming in for the ETC kill. Steer is on fire with these kills. Sylvanas gets taken down thanks to the good Divine Shield from Uther there. And they are, Epsilon, able to come out ahead in a 2-for-1 trade. However, they're still going to lose this Immortal fight because the second they leave this area, Fnatic are just going to come straight back up, as they are now, and finish off the health. Yeah, they should be able to do that in time.
Yeah,
but,
they should be able to do it. They have only 2 heroes on here. Li Ming actually, like, going back is a bit of a problem for them, but they should still be able to raise it, and that's exactly what they're doing. As long as Sylvanas is going to be back in time, they will be able to use the Immortal with a 50% shield to get a bit more value out of it. And Muff actually had to now also defend the bot lane, since this was going through the wall already and trying to go straight for the keep.
Yeah, some of the other things that happened in that fight as well is the actually cleansed Kael'thas out of the mosh. He ran right to the edge and the cleanse wore off, and he still got caught in the mosh before he could throw out a single ability or anything else, including the gravity lapse that would have interrupted the mosh pit. And also, a lot of stuff happened in that fight in general there. Thrall actually mostly whiffed his Sundering. That was a weird fight.
It was a very, very weird fight. We had a couple of strange engagements already happening here. And Stork moving in from that angle is also a little bit odd. Schwimpy again being attacked by Zeratul. Stork moving through the Immortal. They're trying to put the fight on them before they can disable the structures. Stür is nearly falling though. That was a close call. And there is now Sylvanas again. All the time Zeratul jumping in, but Sylvanas is going to help out with this.
Oh, Steer just survives there. Shrimpy trying to wrap around to the side and wipe out that Zeratul who's caused them so many problems. Stork tanking a lot of damage, but Fnatic will get the keep out of this.
Yeah, they definitely will. Sylvanas is just too big of an asset to not get the keep with such a strong Immortal. But again, we have Stür just jumping in with a little bit of damage, poking left, poking right, always opting for it. Oh, Muff dropping in hit points severely, as we are seeing Shrimpy just going straight in for the kills. Nice Void Prison to save Muff. They're trying to go for a kill against Smaxy. Again, the palm on Karazim, and the Starfall is zoning them out. Now Fnatic moving back for now. No more hooks on Stork. Didn't have the cooldown ready. Everybody escapes for now, but taking down the keep was, of course, the main objective of Fnatic here.
Yeah, the Immortal, like you said, the Immortal didn't get anything out of the shield, so the keep is the most important thing they got. And they all got out alive. They very nearly got a kill as well, thanks to that great Sundering. But Steer continuing to just be so dominant on this Zeratul with a clutch Void Prison saving his team.
Yeah, well, Breeze right now, level 16 here. We have also the Tempest Fury chosen for a Thero Angel. Circle of Life, obviously, on the side of Karazim. Not really a big surprise to see that talent here. And I guess in this case, still Evasive Fire taken. We have the Fireflies as well now. And on the side of Breeze with level 16, we see him go into the Speed Metal to give his team a bit of a burst in speed in these fights right now for positioning. And they are attempting to go for that bot lane here with that camp that they have. It's 16 versus 16 talents though. The hook not hitting, and therefore the stun follow-up on Tyrande also just hitting empty space.
Yeah, that Flame Strike doing a lot of damage there. Yeah, this is a decision that we actually see out of Shrimpy a lot. Going for the Fireflies first. In come a lot of heroics there. The Phoenix being used to zone everyone out. Stitches can land a hook, gets Karazim. The stuns are good, but Karazim gets out thanks to that Relentless talent.
Yeah, and also, of course, thanks to those dashes that he has. But you're totally right. Relentless definitely going to be the most important talent for a lot of these heroes here. At least for Karazim. I mean, if somebody else is being hooked, usually Karazim should be able to dash in and apply the palm. In this case, on the other hand, it really was his saving grace. He was able to get out of this one. Top lane has to be deep pushed still, but Fnatic has really put a lot of pressure on those keeps. The first one eliminated, the second one of half HP, and now with another Immortal there. Let's just face it, Epsilon cannot afford to lose this Immortal.
Yeah, they need to do something about this, and as such, they're using Stitches to be a distraction for our Thera Angel, basically. But now they've sent everyone up, realizing that they're still losing the race, even with that distraction. Trying to do as much damage as they can. Hook catches Thrall. There's the stun lock, but the cleanse is good. Athero survives. The palm is used a bit early, though, and as such, Zeratul will get the kill here.
Yeah, palm a bit too early, doesn't even get triggered, and Zeratul goes in. Credit to Styr here. Great play from him so far in this game, and he is able to deliver another big kill. 7 kills against 3, and this time it looks very much like the Immortal is going to end up in the hands of Epsilon. They're going in again, they're attempting to hook the entire time, but Fnatic, they want to go for the fight. They want to look if they can maybe get a mosh pit here, or defend their own Immortal for a bit longer. Instead, they're just putting on the pressure, and especially with Li Ming and that barbed shot on Sylvanas, they are able to do a lot of damage considering that they are fighting this in a 4 versus 5 situation.
Yeah, they're trying to race it. They might actually do it. It's close, but it does go over to Fnatic.
4 versus 5 in the Immortal race, and thanks to barbed shot on Quacknix and of course Li Ming with all that burst damage, they are actually able to take it there. That was crazy good for them.
That's some insane damage that they have against the Immortals there. Very cool to see. But it is now time for them to push. They have everyone back again. The only heroic they don't have up is the Waning Arrow, which is up in 18 seconds. Whereas for the side of Epsilon, it is 19 seconds for that Phoenix, but everything else is available. Hook, not landing on anything, but now Stork taking quite a bit of damage. Starfall, though, will zone a lot of heroes out. Smexy diving onto Styr there so that they get the maximum foresight vision.
Yeah, Quacknix is very cautious with this approach here. Doesn't want to get too far out, but of course he wants to disable the keep, and he does. It is down, and that is exactly what Fnatic wanted here. They get both. Again, the lockdown against Smexy. Palms himself, dashes away. He still dies to the bomb. He still dies to it. The whiff, Void Prison at the same time. Priest is looking for an opportunity to maybe use the Mosh. Doesn't present itself. Stalk is very low, though. Breeze on the run. The hook hitting again. Not quite. Shrimpy barely teleporting out of that range. But yeah, the fights are won by Epsilon. 8 kills against 3, but all of the objectives have been gotten by Fnatic, and they capture one after another. And at this point, it's really the pressure against the core that is the biggest problem of Epsilon. They haven't even taken a fort yet.
Yeah, they get so many kills with the help of the total. Like you said, it's 8 kills to 3 currently in favor of Epsilon, but they just can't win any of the objectives. Fnatic are just winning that way. But these hooks, these combos have been so good. Zeratul has just been able to snipe anyone who survives. It's just been really nice from Epsilon, but they need to translate that into something. But they actually are going to be able to, assuming they can survive. The longer this game goes on, higher the respawn times are, and the more they can actually, if they get kills, make some plays out of it.
The problem is that the longer the fights go in the middle of the map right now, the more these waves are going to, or the lanes are going to push in. Styr is again there and is going to try and make a bit of a play. There he is. Nice dodge on that hook. It was a close call. And they get the camp. But this is really tricky. And right now, the damage output, of course, on especially Kalthas with those flame strikes and the double flame strike is incredibly powerful. Uh-oh, Divine Shield on Stalk, barely surviving, able to escape, but they try to turn it around against Kalthas. Sundering plus Wailing Arrow. They don't get the kill, though, and Breeze is low. Breeze is dead, and again Karazim with a palm against himself, still falling here and spreading the love, aka the bombs, to Aethera Angel.
More kills going over to Epsilon, and as such, they're actually very close to their level 20s. They're going to be able to heal up and get ready for the Immortal fights, whereas Fnatic, they're just going to try and put a little bit of pressure onto this bot lane to try and catch Andy Lendy here, because they need the kills, but Stitches has rumbled them. They can't afford to do it now. They have, however, found unstable. The stun just missing on Quacknix there.
Yeah, they're trying to apply some pressure onto the lanes. Oh, Will of the Forsaken. Yeah, close call there by Quacknix, able to escape. But as you pointed out, that 20 is a big nuisance at this point.
Yeah, it's going to be available very, very shortly. All it needs to do is to send just Zeratul up into the lane, and they'll be able to get that. And in the meantime, their core, though, is having to defend itself because they want that objective. They know how quickly Fnatic kills it, so they need to really focus that as much as they can.
This is one that Fnatic definitely has to give up. They can't really fight for it. At least
Now they can.
I just don't see... They actually...
It's on their own side now. Now they can fight.
Yeah, they can fight versus
they can at least
again,
play
right.
under defensively. They're actually just going to rush the immortal Fnatic. So greedy.
Well,
but they're going for it. There are people defending the base.
It's not really greedy. They have the vision. They need.
Yes,
they see
they
that
do.
Zeratul and Kel'Thas are both back, so they're just trying to apply a little bit of damage before the heroes are joining up with the rest of the team. So it's actually a smart decision on their part. Question still is, can they really fight here with Epsilon already on level 20s?
Yeah, oh, the leaving damage coming out. They want to kill Steer. Like, that is something they really want to do, but he is just so hard to take down at this point. But they're having a lot of trouble. And this is going to be a pretty hedge immortal. In fact, they're going to delay it as much as they can so that they can basically defend their base. They need to know they're actually just going to finish it off while hanging around in the mid lane to see if anyone comes to try and steal it.
Yeah, they're taking position at the bot lane. They actually want to go for an attempt to maybe even sneak a kill in here. The important part to note at this point is really that we are currently in a situation in which Fnatic can, of course, always go and aim for a bit of a pressure play against the opponent and trying to just like pressure core, force them to TP back and then move back to defend their own bases. But as they haven't still not lost a fort, this is one of those scenarios where it works out well for them. And look at that mind game that they just played. They hit themselves at the bot lane the entire time. No vision for Epsilon. Epsilon was afraid that there's a backdoor. This is all the lockdown again against Thrall and the kill. Oh my god, no palm used in this case. Wow, the snipe. It was such a nice mind game from Fnatic and forced Epsilon back, gave them time to put free damage onto the Immortal, but that hook that we just saw from the Thrall and the miss on the palm, that was actually amazing for Epsilon.
Yeah, and it's exactly what we were talking about. This is now getting really impactful. Fnatic were able to were able to still take fights and take objectives earlier in the game, but now the respawn time is closer to 50 seconds, so that Epsilon have a huge amount of time to actually get stuff done during this, and they're going very aggressively forward here. Stork getting focused down, but he gets Divine Shield again. Smexy getting dropped. He drops the palm, but he gets focused down and blown up. And we're actually seeing Epsilon move on to core with a 2-man advantage.
Yeah, and they still have that Immortal there. And of course, Thrall is going to be back in another 10 seconds, but they might not even have that time. The core is being attacked, and this is not looking good. There's the mosh pit, forced and interrupted. And Fnatic goes down in flames. They are taken down by Epsilon on map number 1 on Battlefield of Eternity. GG, and we're going to head into game number 2. Game number 2, everybody. Sky Temple. We had a bit of an odd match between Fnatic and Epsilon on the first map, Battlefield of Eternity. Now the second map is going to feature Sky Temple, and Epsilon is in the lead in the best of 3 series here. Fnatic, this is one of their preferred maps. They actually play Murky several times here. It's one of those split push maps where they really love to pick Murky for Ethereal Angel. It's of course something that Epsilon is very well aware of, which could even result in a ban at some point. Fnatic doesn't have to pick it, but they always have the chance there. Illidan banned out, and apparently Fnatic trying to get rid of Tyrande here. That hook into Tyrande's stun definitely did a number of them to them in the last game, especially of course with Karazhan being sniped this often. The palm is a little bit not really spot on there, but Stork himself on his stitches always saved by the Divine Shield. A very good fight control match from Epsilon, even though overall the decision making on the map and working around the objective was a little bit better on Fnatic's part. They lost the game though, and now in the second map it's going to be curious to see who's going to take the lead in, who's going to take the lead in this map and who's also going to claim victory here, since if Epsilon wins it, it's going to be a 2-0 and they will go to the semi-final, whereas Fnatic would have to participate in the third qualifier to qualify for Dreamhack Tour.
Yeah, this is very true. The final qualifier is once again done the same way that the one for Leicester was done, where it's done on points, which teams had got the highest over the 2 qualifiers, and the top 4 teams from that tournament will qualify for Dreamhack Tours as well. So for now, Fnatic starting off their draft with a false start after losing that grey main, so They really want a good ranged assassin, and they want some good map control, and Falstad is perfect for both of those things.
Epsilon, with a lot of their bans and their drafts in general, just really making sure that they are shutting Fnatic down wherever they can. They banned out Greymane in the last game, and Quacknix is, of course, the hero or the player that is very notable for his Greymane play. And Epsilon, in this case, pick it away. They take the opportunity to take Greymane and the Worgen. And for now, they can actually still decide if they want to play something along the lines of an Uther again. Tyrande was already banned out, so that double support combo is still possible, but not with the Tyrande anymore. If you really want to play, you can go Tacita plus Uther, Tacita plus Rhaegar is still available to them. And they actually start to prioritize their Kalthas quite highly. Andilendi already using it in the last game, and apparently they want to make sure that they have the option to use the Fire Mage in game number 2 as well.
Yeah, the Kalthas has been quite effective for them so far. He actually had the most kills for them in that last game. In fact, only 2 of their heroes had kills in general. It was Kael'thas with 7, and it was Illidan with, Zeratul with 5.
Yeah.
So yeah, they did a very good job, and the build they used was quite effective.
It definitely was. Kael'thas gained, he had the top damage as well in that game. So, so far for them, it's actually working out quite nicely. Epsilon, they played Zeratul already once. I mean, they still have the opportunity to play him on this map too. Muradin and Falstad as a counterpart, and Epsilon is actually really running down the time pool at this point. Very tricky decision here for them.
Looks like they are going to pick up their support now, and they go with that Uther protection for the Greymane.
I like it. I really like it. After the last game and the Uther play that we saw there, I really feel that it's a good decision for them to go for Uther again. It gave them a lot of stability. Them also limiting the options of Fnatic when it came to support was a huge part of why they were so successful in the last map, I feel. I could see a Rhaegar ban on their end. Fnatic for now have the first ban though, and they could really work on that front line now.
Yeah,
they do.
And they start with the Stitches ban because they get second picks. They can double warrior themselves and really limit Epsilon's options. So, very nice ban by them.
I would expect Epsilon to go for a Rhaegar ban.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. They already have Tyrande. Tyrande's already out thanks to Fnatic. They already have Uther. Yeah, Rhaegar definitely a very solid ban, but they get rid of Sonya.
I could have also seen them go for maybe a ban on a hero like Li Ming, for example. Sonya is not too bad either. Personally, I would have preferred a ban on Rhaegar, since it really felt that Fnatic is going to rely a little bit heavily on Rhaegar with the setup that they're drafting right now. Then again, Sonya is of course always a great hero to have, and in this case, Thrall is still an option, so I'm not really sure if it was necessary to ban out Sonya here, but Sonya is a nuisance if she can go into the backline. And let's not forget that there's actually the Tasta out there as well. So Fnatic could have gone for Sonya plus a double support composition with Tacita plus X, and on the last draft, I guess they were maybe a little bit afraid of it. Fnatic seemed to try and use the global mobility on more heroes than Falstad though.
Yeah, soaking 2 lanes with Dehaka and Falstad, and then having instant team fight when the 2 just tunnel/fly in. So it is very effective for them, and that's what they go for, and they're going to pick up that support, the Rhaegar.
Rhaegar isn't really a surprise. I mean, we've talked about that already as Sonya was banned out instead of Rhaegar. Dehaka is also the option that he can always just burrow into these fights immediately, since on every single temple that we have on this map, there's a bush right next to it. So that gives Dehaka a lot of options to aggressively participate in these fights, and it's something that Fnatic has really been looking for.
Yeah, this is a very strong map for Dehaka, and a very strong map for Falstad, especially on that bottom temple. Falstad soaking top lane can fly down, and it just has a really easy time there.
Tacita now is the pick for Epsilon, so they go into that double support with Uther Tacita. That's going to make it very, very easy for Greymane to jump in and go deep. But they still need also a tank, and there's a couple of frontliners that are still available here, of course.
I definitely think ETC would be nice for them. They can, if they want to, even play with Stage Dive, but they already have the Uther. They have Kael'thas for huge AoE damage. They have Greymane for huge AoE damage. That mosh pit is going to rock for them. So definitely like the ETC pick.
I would love ETC. The alternative would be Johanna, in my opinion. But ETC with the Uther as a Divine Shield seems like a great option for them. Greymane, of course, is also going to hope for a Divine Shield. Epsilon, they decide to go for the cow, so that works for them. I really like the pick here. Fnatic, they could do with a little bit more damage. There's still a Vala around. There's the option to go for a Li Ming as well. There's a couple of things that they can really do with this, but I feel those 2 heroes are probably their best bet at this point.
Yeah, definitely agree. Out of all of them, I think the Li Ming would be probably a bit better for them.
let's not forget that we could still see one of those melee assassin types. We have Thrall still not taken.
Yeah.
We could see also, in theory at least, the Murky, even though I wouldn't like it here too much. Sylvanas, in this case, is being picked. And by the way, Murky, of course, mentioned since Fnatic really loves to play the hero, especially on Sky Temple, but it wouldn't really fit the combination as well as it does the usual split push that they're aiming for. Zagara hasn't been picked either, so Sylvanas or Zagara would give them a great bot lane as well.
Yeah, this is very true. The Sylvanas would be nice considering they are up against Uther Kael'thas, so throwing in a good silence into that backline would be pretty solid. And of course, if that Divine Shield isn't up, it's another interrupt for the ETC, and that is what they lock in.
So they go for Sylvanas. It was really well played by Quacknix in the last game, I have to say. His Sylvanas play was pretty much on point. I personally would have preferred something else for them. Maybe the Vala that I mentioned could have even gone into a heavy front line with that Thrall. The problem is if you do that, then you risk yourself against the mosh pit of your opponent quite a bit. Sylvanas is going to have the will of the Forsaken to jump out if Greymane goes for her, so I think that helps them a little bit. But it's a tricky setup here for sure. They have a lot of CC on the other hand. Muradin and Dehaka are really going to help them here against Epsilon. But for Fnatic, this is really... this is the survival of the tournament that's on the line here. So they need to make sure that they win this game. They have to win 2 in a row if they want to advance to the semis. And Epsilon is not going to make it that easy for them. Sky Temple is the map. So guys, we're going to jump in. Fnatic versus Epsilon. Game number 2 here at the Dreamhack Tour qualifier. Fnatic versus Epsilon. It's game number 2 in the series, and Epsilon is ahead with a 1-0 after the victory on Battlefield of Eternity. Breeze for Fnatic on Muradin for the blue team here to the left, and Ethereal Angel on Dehaka. Smexy in this case playing Rega, and we have Quacknix on Falstad, the carry pigeon skin, with Schwimpy jumping on Sylvanas this time. Epsilon is in the lead. They've been doing very well in the last game. And now Stork on ETC, Andilendi on Tassadar, Styr again on Kael'thas. Where actually, they switched Kael'thas around too. In the last game, we had Andilendi playing the Fire Mage, and Styr was rocking Zeratul here, very successfully at that. Unstable, this time playing Uther again, and Muff is jumping on Greymane. We also have a switch around in the level 1 talent on Kael'thas at least, the Fell Infusion this time being taken. But this is definitely going to be an interesting match, since for Fnatic there is so much on the line right now.
Yeah, if they lose this, they're going to that last chance qualifier. If they win it, they will be playing against My Insanity to try and go to Tours. A bit of a push in the top lane, thanks to that Sylvanas Falstad helping out as well, but he'll fly down to the mid lane so that they get the XP soak.
Very interesting level 1 talents that we are seeing here already. Now, first of all, we have on the side of Greymane, again, the Wolfheart taken. We see the Fell Infusion, as mentioned before, on Kael'thas. But if you're looking at the setup for Fnatic, we are seeing them with the Seasoned Marksman on Falstad, so more auto attack damage than anything else at this point. That will allow you later on with the Hammerang on level 16 to get incredible damage out against Greymane in particular if he starts to jump in, which is probably one of the concerns that Quacknix on his Falstad has here. And we're also seeing on the side of Sylvanas the overflowing Quiver that has been taken now.
Yeah, I completely missed that actually. So yeah, she gets an extra shot from her Withering Fire if an enemy dies nearby, which I guess works on the Temple as well. I assume it works for the Guardians.
Well, it's incredibly important, especially for the wave player, so you get a lot more out of that. Already the gank against Tacit at the bot lane, and that was a very, very cool coordination there. Breeze waiting for a long, long time because he was waiting for the dimensional shift to happen, so that was well done. They get the kill, and now they start to rotate again just in time for those temples to be up. Breeze is already going straight for the mid lane here, wants to make sure that they get at least a few of these shots, and at the top lane we're still having Sylvanas in lane, trying to make sure that she's at least getting the lane experience. Dehaka pushing the bot lane and attempting, of course, to go for that particular well, but Styr is ready to meet that aggression.
Yeah, so it's full trade on temples at the moment. Fnatic going to be able to take pretty much every shot from this mid lane once they've chased Andilendi and Stork away, whereas the top temple going almost 100% over to Epsilon. Actually, Fnatic have been able to chase Epsilon back, and Epsilon have been able to chase Fnatic back, so the remainder of the shots for each temple will be swapped.
Yeah, and with Dehaka moving to the top lane, this was something that they did not really expect there. It was nearly the kill against Uther that they got as a result. Now they're moving into the middle too. Uh-oh, Breeze is locked down and explodes mid-air. Great play by Styr again. Styr and Stork chaining up the CCs. Extremely well done by them and making sure that there was absolutely no chance for Breeze to stay alive. But we still have a significant lead in experience on the side of Fnatic.
Yeah, they are pulling it ahead quite a little bit. Final few shots come out from that mid temple in favor of Epsilon, and they begin to catch up in XP very quickly, dealing with the waves that were pushed up while they were taking the temple.
Yeah. One who collects on level 4 taking over the Hero Stalker on the side of the Haka, by the way. So Ethereal Angel not going for the extra essence thanks to takedowns, but instead thanks to the minions that he's going to take on. So on the solo lane, he's going to have a much easier time to have that lane sustain early on against Jurna, who's always trying to harass him with a couple of these living bombs. And thanks to the mana tap, Styr himself is going to have a lot of lane sustain himself as well. So they're going to try and stay on this lane for as long as possible to not lose out on experience.
Yeah, been doing a good job with it there. Once again, coming up to the top lane, him and Sylvanas combined push this lane so ridiculously hard. Withering Barrage taken by Sylvanas, and Athero pushing back Andy Lendy and continuing to help get rid of this mercenary camp. He'll have Burrow in 20 seconds, so he'll be able to go back to bot and or stay up here and then tunnel down when the objective starts.
Yeah, that's the main reason why he went there in the first place. He wasn't really trying to set up a gank or anything, but they had to position the Haka at the top so that once the temple at the bot lane spawns, they can get a little bit more wave there at the top lane and then have the option to move the Haka just down immediately. And that's the whole idea, of course, of this. You oftentimes see it happening with Falstad, but in this case, with the Haka being in play, they can keep Falstad on the rest of the lanes and let him then move down a little bit later on. Level 7 talents with the Burn Flash taken again. Also Kala's Embrace now, and we have still that double support setup on the side of Epsilon. And they are already getting the Siege Giants at the bot lane to push in this wall a little bit farther.
Valstad grabbing the Bruiser camp up in the top lane, now flying down to his team, so he is ready to assist with this, with the objective just spawning as well. Tassadar having to deal with the Hacker up in the top lane, so he's going to be a little bit mirrored in the ATC, heading down a little bit later than everyone else just to join up with their teams. But right now, Temple is in favor of Epsilon.
Yeah, and Dehaka at the top lane, thanks to his trade, is able to have a lot of sustain here, and he's starting to push in. The bot lane, on the other hand, if Dehaka decides to jump back down, it's going to be a 5 versus 4. And this is something that is giving Epsilon a bit of a pause here now. They know about the possibility of this happening, and the top lane in the meantime is also severely attacked by that camp plus Dehaka. So it looks like this fort is going to fall. Andy Lendy just can't keep up with Dehaka in this case.
Yeah, he's trying to defend as best he can. He didn't take Mule or anything because he needed to take that Kala's Embrace. So he is just shielding everything best he can, but it is going to die. Breeze looking for an escape route. He is just going to jump over and just let the final shots go over to the side of Epsilon here. Whereas Quacknick's heading up to help Athero, and they're going to try and push this. It only has 4 shots left. Shrimpy coming as well, so the shots are irrelevant. And they're going to be able to probably take down this fort.
They actually did that really well. They only had a couple of shots available at the temple at the bot lane as is, so they just decided that it would be much better for them to go to the top lane, take down the structures here, since from a structural point of view, it's going to help them in the later stages of the game as well. Both of the teams are hitting level 10 roughly around the same time, and we have heroics now taken with a Wailing Arrow on Sylvanas, Isolation on Dehaka. We're seeing Mighty Gust, Reka with the Ancestral Healing, and of course also the Avatar chosen on the side of Breeze.
Yeah, that Avatar giving him that extra sustain. Smexy just getting harassed by Styr there, who's helping clear up the minion waves with the help of Unstable. So they're just keeping that bottom lane safe for the moment. Muff defending this one remaining tower for the moment.
Yeah, and the bot lane again goes for the Siege Giants, but as is, having Epsilon trying to invade that with Quacknix flying down, they have to retreat, and there's Athero, goes for the drag against Andy Lendy. That was a quick cleanse on the other hand, and Andy Lendy might still fall. His cooldown isn't ready for another dimensional shift. Here comes Breeze, tries to move in, but they go for a quick Mighty Gust, just make sure that they can retreat here.
Yeah, they had to disengage. The boss was aggroed, and they were in a terrible choke point for a fight. So that Mighty Gust from Quacknix, very, very nice. Going to allow Dehaka to head straight back up to the top lane to begin clearing the wave once again. And once again, he can just tunnel down to join his team if they decide to actually fight.
Now again, every single structure that you take out here is helping you in the long run, since the objective is then going to attack the inner circle of structures, the tier 2 towers and also keeps. So incredibly important to make use of Quacknix with his mobility and also Dehaka to push a couple of these structures down without even using the objective. That's going to help you incredibly well, and that's exactly what Shrimpy and his Sylvanas can of course assist his team with too. They move down to the bot lane with the mobility that they have, and I mean this is an easy snipe against the fort because Epsilon is currently busy taking one of the camps at the top lane. The fort is already down. It not only gives them experience, but also the structural position in the game is improving rapidly for them.
And once again, Fnatic showing that they have objective dominance on the maps. They haven't really had team fights. It's currently 1 kill to 1. But in the objectives, they've taken down 2 forts and done a really good job in controlling individual parts of the map. They're finally going to lose their first fort to that mid-temple, but it looks like they may actually take down the enemy mid-fort in exchange, making it a 3-fort for 1.
Yeah, the Haka can now simply move up to the top and help out with that camp that is already pushing for another fort here. So Thera Angel is going to have a decent position. At the same time, a camp was stolen, the Siege Giants were actually taken, and they are starting to move in once again. The Haka defending at the top, the rest of the team moving into the middle instead, with the exception of Rega, who's now starting to make his way over. Shrimpy, on the other hand, is in trouble, is rushing away, and Andy Lendi is a bit too late with that force wall. He himself is losing hit points rapidly. Both of the teams now on level 13. The Haka moves in from the side, tries to go for the drag against Stier. It's the kill against ETC that starts the fight off, though. Breeze jumps in, he wants to go for Kalthas, body blocks him. Andy Lendi is also in trouble. Tacita trying to move away, unstable with the heal and the wave, but it might still be the end of Tacita, as Smexy is so close, but the shield is saving him.
Yeah, shield is just in time, and immediately Fnatic going to do the boss. Smexy going to be tanking for now until Breeze arrives. Bit of a miss micro there by Shrimpy, getting himself punted by the boss. But they're going to be able to take this with no contestation, and that's going to put a huge amount of pressure onto the bot lane. Breeze pushing himself very far forward. He knows he has Dwarf Toss. He knows he has Avatar. He was safe to go that far forward and just zone out enemy players.
And again, the big problem here, of course, that there's a massive push going on right now. The thing is that actually we could in this case see Fnatic move to the bot lane and try to push with Sylvanas. They have that option, or they can simply move to another lane, to the top for example, where their Haka is already pushing the waves back, and try to take a couple of structures down there, while the boss is being defended against at the bottom of the map.
Yeah, and, well, Fnatic pushing the top lane very hard. Epsilon found Quacknix there, able to stun him, but no follow-up, just poking him away with the Gilnean cocktail. And Fnatic, given up on pushing the top lane. Tacita's been doing a good job defending. Instead, they're splitting up. They're doing their... Rega's going to start their Bruiser camp. Sylvanas and Muradin were able to take out the mid lane, and now they're going to be able to do their easy camp.
Yeah, so instead of just going for the walls and for the structures, they're instead attempting to get more experience and head into level 16 in time for the next temple phase to be announced, and that's exactly what's happening right now. So they're even attempting to time the camp that they just took at the bottom with that. We also have over here Smexy currently in a position where he's about to finish up that Bruiser camp that they started, and they are very, very close on that 16, and once that they hit that, they will get an extra talent, which allows them to go for an easy temple at the bot lane, which is going to pressure the structures of Epsilon even more.
Yeah, they're going to be in some serious trouble. The temple in 3 seconds, and Athero already... Well, Athero just proxying himself, actually. He's going for Greymane up in the top lane. He's got the drag. Quacknix coming in as well. Muff trying to use his Worgen Razor Swipe to escape, and he does. He gets behind the wall. Stier coming in, not able to take down Quacknix, but he does a lot of damage, and that might force Quacknix back. But in the meantime, the rest of Fnatic already in the bot lane, ready to soak out that tower. And with 3 people up here, they're going to be able to just take all the shots.
Yeah, they will get all of those, and Stalk and Andyland have to be very careful, because the Haka can in just a few seconds go back down again, and already the fly in thanks to fall stats. And, well, they go for the kill, and Tacita is down. And we are not done yet, because Athero is still there, could go for the drag, does do that against Stalk, but there is, of course, the cleanse on the side of Unstable to make sure that ETC is not falling as well.
Yeah, they had to be careful how much they chased that after Athero got the drag as well, because obviously Mosh Pit, and they were in a bit of a tight area, so they wanted to be careful about where they were positioned. So they're going to send Haka down to the bot lane to take the rest of those shots, which are about to push the lane that they are with a mercenary camp. Sylvanas disabling the keep. These Siege Giants will arrive soon. They've got the laser shots. As long as they don't get moshed here, they should be fine. Stalk, though, is looking to make their worst dreams come true. Finds Breeze. There's the Dwarf Toss. There's the Stun Avatar and the Silence coming in from Sylvanas. They're turning it around. There's the Mosh Pit and the Divine Shield catches too. The Phoenix doing huge damage to Sylvanas, but she is able to pull back.
Yeah, the Mighty Gust actually, in this case, not even supposed to push ETC back, but just everybody else that was trying to capitalize on the Mosh Pit. And they, at least for now, saved a few of their heroes. But the problem is that Rega is already dead. And here's the follow-up as Muff is trying to go in for the kill against Shrimpy. We have still a bit of a problem with Breeze being locked down. And Muradin is dead. 4 kills against 3 in favor of Fnatic. They took that keep at the bot lane though, but they just lost a few of their heroes, and this opens up an opportunity for Epsilon to get some structure damage done down to the bottom of the map where they at least eliminate the fort. But already Fnatic is on point again with the Heartbeats on lane in the middle of the map with Shrimpy and with Quacknix, and at the top lane is the Zero Angel pushing these waves back.
Yeah, Shrimpy is full arrow build here. He has the barbed shot, he has the wind rudder, and he has the evasive fire as well. So he is just super mobile, super hard to take down, and it clears minion waves really quickly. Very much guerrilla fighter at this point. Similar to Dahaka, currently soaking the top lane, who needs to relocate himself ASAP as a lot of heroes have just shown up.
Yeah, there is also Stork, though. Is he gonna go for the lick again, trying to use the drag here, maybe? And yep, there we have it. Can they kill him? Nice, Mighty Gust use. Very nice isolation, but not enough to take down Stork.
Yeah, Stork just mounts himself up and is going to come rejoin his team at this point. And, well, this wall's going to die as well, bringing the fort count to 3-3. But while Fnatic are distracting Epsilon here, Sylvanas has ruined the bot lane. Shrimpy just pushing that up massively, and now it has catapults in it. So Fnatic grouping up, they're going to take the mercenary camp as well, put so much pressure on this bot lane, basically making Epsilon unable to really commit a big defense to one of these temples.
Yeah, we have also Kalthas, by the way, focusing a little bit more on the living bombs here, going straight for the Sun King's Fury on level 16 after the Fission Bomb has been used. So we have both of the teams aiming for the next few temples, but Stork is in a bit of trouble here, needs to be careful, gets healed by Unstable. Here they fly in, the stun and the lockdown thanks to Rhaegar. Stork is looking for an opportunity to move in again, and the mosh pit is completely being whiffed. Divine Shield is there, the kill against ETC. That was a disaster for Epsilon. Here comes the drag. At least the cleanse is ready to save Muff, but he's not safe yet as Silence hits him, and another lockdown by the totem on Rhaegar.
The isolation on Muffs, keeping him blind for a little bit. They take down the Uther. They're still giving chase, trying to catch something. There's the drag onto Tacitor. He will have Dimension. There it is, just in time, and he will escape it.
That level 16 talent on Rhaegar really securing 2 of these kills at this point. Not only do we have the Colossal Totem on level 1, but then also the Earthgrass Totem on 16. And that lockdown that we just saw secured 2 of the kills that they were able to get here. Stork and Uther dying because of it. And they jump in again and do the same thing. The drag already active, and down goes Kalthas. And with the help of Sylvanas, they can easily destroy now the keep in the middle of the map as well.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that makes Dahaka so good. Not only can you reposition someone with drag, it's actually a really long-lasting stun.
Yeah.
You can just drop it on someone and hold them still for a long period of time. And now Fnatic pulling back, looking to take as many shots at the temple before Epsilon try and raid them.
And at level 20. I mean, that's on top of everything else. They're level 20 and it's still a 5 versus 4. They have to let a few of the shots go in the middle, but that doesn't really change the fact that Aetherius has already taken the top lane here, and he is going to put a lot of pressure onto the last remaining keep that we're seeing. So this is actually exactly what Fnatic is waiting for. They are jumping in again. They can force the fight here. It's a 4 versus 4 with level 20 talents versus level 16, and that gives them another edge. Already Aetherius is jumping in with the Apex Predator, trying to go for Uther. Uther Divine Shielding himself here, but he is dead. Actually, did not use Divine Shield, or did he?
No, it's off it's off cooldown. It is available. Nice power roll from Quacknix.
It looked weird for a moment. I really thought that he Divine Shielded himself, but apparently he did not. So he dies. Should have Divine Shielded himself, apparently. The fight not over yet. Drag again used against Greymane, but this time there's no follow-up damage.
Yeah, Fnatic really getting out of there very fast because they don't want to die and throw away their lead, and they already have minions in the enemy base doing a huge push, so they might as well heal up and get themselves ready. They could send Dahaka up to that top lane to try and push that even more, but instead looks like he is going to try and join his team on temples. They've managed to take all of mid, and there's already minions on the core, so this defense from Epsilon is already over.
Yeah, they can't really do a whole lot to secure the shots on the top temple. And this top temple is going to severely pressure now the last keep. It's actually going to take it down. If nobody else is flying in or moving in to take a few of these shots away, the last keep is going to fall. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. So Fnatic is able to take down the last structure on the inner circle of Epsilon. And at this point, with Epsilon finally hitting level 20, they're incredibly far behind and have to somehow try to win a 5 versus 5 fight now. And forcing boss is actually one of the things that they can do here. They will at least force the team of Fnatic into a battle.
Yeah, here comes Breeze. Falstad flying in time. He has Mighty Gust, remember. They could just go for that. Divine Shield and Cleanse could be used to try and prevent this from happening. Depends how early Quacknix wants to use this. And there we go. In they come. Dimensional Shift. Use Dimensional Shift. Will delay this boss. In comes ETC. The silence. It will stop the mosh pit from happening. And ETC getting focused. The boss still in contention. And the first kill is going to be onto no one, actually. It's still going. The mosh pit finally used Muff. Getting focused down, but doing a lot of damage to Quacknix. He gets taken down. Unstable and Stork both get deleted. The Death Metal, though, still is doing damage, but Aethera Angel will finally stop him from ruining them. And they will get the boss and go for the core.
5-man wipe. Of course, at least Uther is back thanks to Redemption, but that doesn't matter anymore. The boss is going to aim for core, and at this point it was, of course, Epsilon being desperate. They knew that they couldn't play a long and drawn-out game, and any kind of temple would have finished the match in favor of Fnatic. So they take a risk, they go for boss, they force the fight, and they just say, guys, this is a Hail Mary. We need to go YOLO, and we need to do it right now. They YOLO in for boss, they lose the battle. It's a close call, though, and Fnatic is able to secure the victory on Sky Temple and force game number 3 in the series here for Dreamhack Tour. Game number 3, everybody. Fnatic versus Epsilon. Tomb of the Spider Queen is our third map, and while we have a couple of adjustments already to the map, Epsilon with a very constant theme. If they have first ban, they ban Greymane. If they have pick on the first pick, they pick Greymane. That's what they've been doing throughout the entire series against Fnatic, and for very good reason, because Quacknix, of course, is currently the best Greymane player in Europe. Fnatic, in this case, they ban out Zool, and it looks very much... Are we going to see that ETC again? We've been joking a little bit about the Europe mosh pits, and I would have a blast if actually on this map, which is of course the worst map for the stage dive, they would just simply go for ETC stage dive. But no, it is the Tyrande instead.
Yeah, keeping Shrimpy happy this time, giving him that Tyrande, and of course they end up using it as their solo healer. So Epsilon, they now have plenty of options. We could see Li Ming. We have so many choices they could pick. They have first dibs on any tank or support. They have a lot of choices here.
I mean, they can, yeah, they have a couple of matches that they can play. They can go, for example, for Zagara if they want to have a strong bot lane hero. Thrall would be in a very similar position where he can just like dominate the bot lane. It's basically a question, they really prefer that Kael'thas,
That
though.
priority, yeah.
They
really like it.
Yeah, they're one of the few teams that actually play Kael'thas a lot this weekend right now. So Kael'thas again picked for them. Wave clear on the hero was so far pretty incredible actually in all of the games, and they have still the question to answer what kind of draft they want to aim for here. But with Fnatic picking that Tyrande, they are already basically saying like, yeah, we want to play a double support here. We want to make sure that we have also Tyrande for that starfall damage, and that we can get a bit of a snipe combo going, that they could run with an ETC, that they could run with a Muradin as well. So Epsilon has to basically answer the question, how do we want to react to this? Do we play the wave clear game? Do we instead try to meet the rotation? And it looks like they are attempting to pick at least ETC away, and with ETC stun into Kael'thas Gravity Labs, they have already a bit of a CC chain going for themselves as well.
Yep, they have, and this is something they have been very good at, especially in that first game. They were able to just get incredible crowd control chains off of Stitches into Tyrande Kael'thas was the first game. And in the second game, they were still able to get quite a few off, but this time, ETC Kael'thas, very solid start, and we are seeing Fnatic still keeping Breeze happy with that Muradin, and they get what you were talking about earlier. They get some vision, they get some map control, they get some lane control, they get Zagara.
They have Zagara now, and for me personally, it's now a question how they're going to run if they actually want to add a second support, because there's currently nothing that they can really capitalize on in that way. We could see them with another range damage dealer. We could also see, of course, someone who's just like able to get out. Like, let's assume for a moment that they play, for example, something along the lines of a Thrall or a Sonya. Heroes that are not really too common on the map. They could... It's not like they're uncommon, but they're not as highly prioritized as on other maps. If they do that, like the whole idea behind a double support is usually to enable one of these guys. So if they do that, they could still play Tyrande with a bit more attack damage and go into searing attacks, for example. But they also have the option to go for Sylvanas if Epsilon doesn't ban that out. They already showed in the last 2 games that they love to play Sylvanas at this point on Quacknix. And if they have Zagara Sylvanas, they could just switch it around a little bit. They could say, hey, we want to have massive wave clear, we want to dominate the objective, and in the early game we still have Tyrande Muradin that we can rely upon to move in and pressure heroes like Kael'thas or ETC.
Yeah, this is. I have nothing further to add to that. That was spot on. Johanna getting banned out by Epsilon, limiting the double tanks if Fnatic wanted to go for that, and Fnatic limiting support options for Epsilon.
And now, for me, really, it's the question, what's going to happen to that Sylvanas? Is Fnatic picking that up again? Because I really feel that Epsilon is not going to go for the hero. They have a Thrall. If they lock him down, that would be great for Thrall ETC. They have a bit of like a combo there with Sundering into Mosh Pit. So they have a lot of options. Thrall also a lane bully at the bot lane. They can deal with Zagara, at least to a certain extent. They would still have to try and roam to the bot every now and then with the ETC or Kel'Thas. But I kind of feel that Epsilon is not going to go for that Sylvanas pick. And they banned out Johanna, which personally I believe wouldn't really have been a big problem right now since Fnatic already dedicated their solo tank to Muradin. And Fnatic will have the option to go for Sylvanas here. And for me personally, the biggest question at this point is, are they going to use that?
Yeah, and Epsilon picking up double range damage dealers, not using the Sylvanas though. They're currently going to pick up Falstad. He has been very strong every single game today, but he is pretty effective. He isn't a lane pusher though, so once again, Zagara basically getting a lane to herself with just Thrall as the counter laner.
Falstad has, of course, with the Gathering Storm build, great siege damage. I mean, he can later on with the Boomerang just simply blow up an entire wave with one single shot, which is crazy good. In the last match on Sky Temple, we saw Falstad 2 played by Quacknix, but with an auto attack build instead, a bit of a different approach here. But now the big question, is it going to be Sylvanas Zagara? Yes or no? They go into, okay, if they pick an Uther here for double support, then it feels like they really try to enable someone. And that's, of course, a potential Sonya, a Vala instead. So range damage, but still the double support here for massive, massive clear. This is actually one of the setups where I could see Tyrande even head in. I mean, when you talk Tyrande on Tomb of the Spider Queen, you have two aspects of the hero. You can play a build with searing attacks or searing arrows on level 4, which is something that Virtus Pro really used to do, but the problem is you give up Pierce. So if you are just trying to interrupt the objective channel, then going into Pierce and an Owl build makes a lot more sense. If you're trying to add a little bit more range damage and the single target damage, then going to Randa with the searing arrows would be much, much better. So that's definitely a choice that Fnatic has to make.
Yeah, they have to make that decision. Epsilon, though, for their support, they're actually looking at Morales here. Rhaegar is also open, but we have yet to see a Morales in the games that we have cast, and that is what they lock in.
Morales being used, I kind of like that. There's very few things that Fnatic can do to get close enough to Morales to really put pressure on her. So I feel in this case, Quacknix, if he's on Vala, which we assume he will be, he really likes to play Strafe on Vala, and I can totally understand why, since Thrall and ETC are going to look for a kill and close the distance between themselves and Vala. But if you really want to make sure that Morales is having a tough time, then going into the Reign of Vengeance would be great, because it's another interrupt against ETC's Mosh Pit, and you can capitalize on the Maw, plus any additional stun combo with Muradin Uther and Tyrande. And on top of that, you would also be able to just like burst targets away, since Morales can heal out that damage on Strafe a little bit easier. I mean, it's not like she has an AoE heal, but Strafe usually is more of a finisher, and if it just tickles in, then Morales is having an easy time healing that out after the Strafe went through. So there's a couple of arguments to be made for Reign of Vengeance, but overall, the stun lock that we have for Fnatic, even if Strafe is taken here, is crazy. Uther stun, Zagara, Maw, Muradin stun, Tyrande stun. That's a huge amount of lockdown that they have here, and it's in a crazy strong roam at the beginning of the game with a 4-man between mid and top.
Yeah, this is very true. And one of the key points of this as well is the difference to the individual parts between Strafe and Reign of Vengeance. Reign of Vengeance, like you said, combos with basically everything, whereas Strafe, Morales is incredible amounts of healing, but it is single target healing, whereas Strafe and Starfall combined is going to be a lot of spread out healing, and that's going to really, one, drain Morales in terms of mana, which he does have some problems with, and two, just make it very difficult for her to prioritize. So if they can spread the damage out and then go for several kills once Morales is distracted or once Morales has been separated, they might be able to get kills that way, but I still lean towards the Reign of Vengeance.
The Starfall combo is actually like a good point. I didn't even consider Starfall plus Strafe. I personally feel that Strafe is pretty... It's not as great as people make it out to be against Morales. A lot of times it's really that argument, yes, if you use Strafe, you spread the damage. Morales has a problem with that. I really feel that oftentimes it's not really true, since Strafe damage is pretty shit right now. But if you combine it with Starfall, that's a different matter. You're totally right on that. That's a really good point. The game is starting, though. Fnatic versus Epsilon, ladies and gentlemen. The last map is starting up right now. We're having Fnatic going up against Epsilon on map number 3, Tomb of the Spider Queen. The final map in the best of 3 series between Fnatic and Epsilon. To the left side of the map, Breeze is playing Muradin. We have Quagnix for Fnatic on Vala as expected, Athero Angel on Zagara for the bot lane pressure, Smexy on Uther, and Shrimpy on Tyrande. It's a pretty cool setup for them, and as we just pointed out in the draft, we could see really that Starfall plus Strafe. It would be pretty cool. Out on the other hand, with Reign of Vengeance, nice lockdown attempts on Vala with all those CCs that we already have potentially stacked up on the side of Fnatic. A really solid setup for them here with double support. But Epsilon has also a strong draft with Stalk on ETC, Stör on Falstad, Muff on Thrall, Unstable on Morales, and Andilendi on Kel'Thas. And yeah, how is Morales going to deal with all of this? This is something that we're going to find out right now as we're heading straight into the game with Morales going straight for the scouting drone to get a bit of vision over the 2 turnip spots.
Yeah, and this makes a lot of sense. The scouting drone, 1, is, like you said, great vision over the turn-in spots, which means you get control of the objective. And 2, it's completely safe for Morales to really give up her safeguard here, the trauma trigger that you get on level 1 a lot of the time, due to the fact that, like you said in the draft, there's very few ways for Fnatic to get into that backline onto Morales. So she doesn't need that self-sustain as much as she otherwise would, assuming her positioning is good and ETC is able to heal for her quite well.
Yeah, there's already the aggression. Quagnix! Whoa, he's on 20 hit points! Gets healed, but what a close call there. With Quagnix actually already going into the composite arrows, I really feel he's going to be very much afraid of Thrall engaging into him, especially, of course, with that Sundering. And this is really one of those things that we have to watch out for, the heroic choice, because it's really determining the way that Fnatic is going to play this. Their roam between the mid and the top is incredibly strong, with stuns being stacked on every single hero that they have, with the exception of Vala, whose main job it is for now to dish out the damage. But that strafe that could be used can, of course, be interrupted by a by the Sundering. That's one of the things to watch out for. The Reign of Vengeance, on the other hand, if you get a Maw setup, for example, you can even get the perfect hit here, but even if a stun on Muradin and Tyrande, you can use that. This is one of those things that I personally find extremely cool with these builds, because depending on what kind of a heroic is chosen on these heroes where both are viable, you have a completely different way of approaching teamfights.
I think Andilendi's starting to get a little bit mad. Just the fact that he just had a second time where a hero escaped on less than 50 health with a living bomb after a living bomb exploded.
Oh, nice kill against ETZ. But yes, you're totally right there. Andilendi must really be a bit frustrated, especially since now they lose the first hero in the game. They had a great opening here with these lockdowns that they had, but in this case, it was just not enough to keep ETC alive. It was a good turnaround for Fnatic. And I mean, for Epsilon, this is also one of those scenarios where they were ahead in the best of 3 series with a 1-0, and they have to make sure that they not all of a sudden lose 2 games in a row. That would be very frustrating for them as well.
Yeah, nothing could tilt to like being 1 game away from winning and then losing 2 in a row. There is the stun onto Shrimpy this time. This time they get the kill, and they're able to lock him down very nicely and pick up their first kill of the game, bringing the kill count to 1-1.
Bot lane, Athero is in the long run probably going to win this battle. Actually, as I say, he's already pretty much out of mana, so that's a bit of a problem there. But forces Muff back for now. The main part is really the rotation between the mid and the top. And with the level 4 talents now in play, we already have that question answered, what exactly Tyrande's going to do. They're not going to go for the single target damage. Instead, it's really the interrupt against the channels on the turn-in point. And with Pierce and Empower taken, it's of course also a great build if you want to reduce the cooldown on any of your abilities, including, in this case, the heroic ability, where we still expect Starfall, since this is, of course, a double support setup.
Yeah, so they're going to be able to get the damage from Starfall off very consistently, and that is one of the most powerful things about it. Which is why we see it a lot. It does very good damage, and you get it so often that it is basically available for every single team fight. But now we are seeing Fnatic just continuing to have a heartbeat on all the lanes except for bot lane. Zagara actually being outlaned by Thrall had to go back. Smexy not able to deny, but Breeze does it for him, and Quagnix from above as well. They're able to deny the 7-gem turn-in for now. Nowhere near enough for a turn, as they haven't turned in any gems at all yet, but keeping Epsilon from getting any kind of advantage here.
Already Athero in a position at the side here, trying to put some pressure on them. Stun in this case misses Stalk, so he's able to move away. Thrall had to move in now too. His biggest asset, of course, is those Chain Lightning talents. Especially if you have the Rolling Thunder, you have that mana sustain on lane as well, which oftentimes is the problem that Zagara is running into eventually. That's one of the main reasons why she had to move back there. Stork with the turn-in attempt again, also tries to turn it around against Breeze, but the Energy Royal is missing. He himself gets stunned. 18 gems have already been turned in by Fnatic. Both of the teams by now with an opportunity to get the first Web Weaver wave if they complete the turn-in.
Yeah, both trying to get that opportunity by taking control of these areas, but they are really struggling. They have, we see Epsilon have basically full vision of at least the bot turning point, and they had full vision of this top one until Breeze just killed that scouting drone. But they have more heroes up here, so they're able to keep an eye on it that way.
9 more gems that Fnatic needs to complete the first turn-in, and Zagara is on the job. 21 on Aethero. Doesn't complete it just yet. They're waiting that out a little bit longer. Already at the top lane, Experience is being soaked by Vala, who went straight into the searing attacks on level 7 after Manticore, of course. And Zagara is going for the battle momentum for cooldown reduction.
Yeah, so that's going to allow her to get her heroic very, very quickly as well. So we're going to have Moors available most fights. We're going to have Starfalls available. And this is going to be very, very strong for Fnatic, who are still denying the turn-in. So far, 0 turned in by Epsilon, 41 turned in by Fnatic, and they have 33 gems left available on their heroes to try and get in. Whereas 79 gems currently being held by Epsilon, who are going for a kill on Smexy, but they won't be able to get him, and Stork has to be killed by Morales.
Yeah, Stork needs to be oh, again, Breeze jumping out there, not spreading the bombs there, but Breeze is extremely low, so this is a turn-in attempt that they can go for, but it's too late as Schwimpy turned in at the bottom. Stork is trying to go for him, but look at how low Muff is. Muff needs to be really careful here. He's about to fall, actually. Is barely getting away, and unstable, is just barely able to help him out there with a quick heal.
Yeah, very nice job by Shrimpy. Steer actually flew directly to that turning point to try and stop him. And not only did Shrimpy still get the turn in time, he also just massively turned onto Steer and has done so again here, catching him out. And this time killing him, and the last time he dropped him to half health, barely taking any damage for himself.
That was an incredible kill here. It's the perfect time for them to take a target down because now they can push the top lane heavily. Both of the teams have the same amount of experience before the Web Weavers really come through, but now there's a chance to just go through the structures, eliminate not only the wall but maybe even the well. They're starting to use a few heroes in the mid lane to do the same thing over there with Smexy and Breeze putting pressure on Stork. Bot lane pressure, of course, already happening, and there's the level 10 ability, which makes matters even worse. Strafe, as kind of expected, has been used right now, and they're going for the kill against ETC. So many gems now lost, and Strafe used to zone out Sheer and make sure that nobody darts in to pick those gems up.
Yeah, so those gems are all dropped. This fort will also be dropped, and Fnatic once again taking control of the game via objectives, but this time they are also winning in kills. 3-1 in their favor, a 1-level advantage for them, and they are looking solid. Epsilon, though, have finally picked up their heroics.
That was a great engage there for them. Getting the kill against Falster before the Web Weavers even come into play, then taking down ETC and moving in once more to take another fort down. That was great for them. They have a bit of a problem with Smexy at the top on the other hand though, but he dodges the gravity lapse and is able to keep himself alive. A lot of gems have been lost by Team Epsilon, but they still have enough to go for a turn-in. The problem that they have is that Fnatic is in the same situation, and Smexy is already about to accomplish that. Yes, there's the second turn-in for them. Double Web Weaver wave, one after another on the side of Fnatic, and that is going to give them an opportunity to head into an early level 13.
Yeah, and that is fantastic for them. They still need to soak as much XP as they can, but Zagara coming up to join the team. They're actually just going for hard pushes and team fights as opposed to their usual split style. They're just taking as many buildings as possible. Aethero spreading that creep, getting vision. Everyone's just hanging around this creep too, but they know it's there. Just waiting for an ability they can use to clear it for the moment. Steer trying to bait someone maybe, or at least looking for a good Mighty Gust, which he might be able to get here.
Yeah, a Mighty Gust into a Mosh Pit would be nice for them, but the problem is I'm not quite sure if he's going to be able to make that happen. As I say, they're trying, but they are denied. The idea was good, but the execution was just lacking a bit. In this case, Fnatic was actually waiting for it. You could really tell that once that Mighty Gust was used, they immediately disengaged and moved into several directions to dodge it.
Yeah, they did a really nice job with that. Breeze getting caught out of position, but has turned it around with his avatar, forcing the disengage from Epsilon. And as such, that fort in the top lane will actually survive for at least a little bit. Kael'thas delaying it. Nope, Smexy comes in and finishes it off.
Yeah, stuns down here, and of course towers are already being attacked. They're so close to level 13 at this point. They find themselves in a great spot to pick up the experience and also go maybe for another kill. Stür is trying to find out if somebody's hiding there. He nearly hits Breeze with it, but as I already mentioned, level 13, that's the big deal here on the side of Fnatic, and they are going to try to make that work. They jumped even in to put some pressure on Andy Lendi. He dodged that, but they won't be able to fight before the next talent hits for Fnatic.
Yeah, they have to basically stay back in their base for the moment because they're down all their forts and are pushed up to their tier 2s. Stork, he has Mosh Pit back due to a bit being interrupted. Not cancelled. There's the Mighty Gust, but they got separated via the terrain. There's the Divine Shield onto Valor, giving her some room to escape. The Strafe is used. The Phoenix dropped and Quacknix gets out.
Wow, they kill Thrall, Quacknix survives. It was a follow-up after the Divine Shield was used. They realized that Vala is so late that they might still have a shot at taking her down. But then the move away successful, and with Strafe the disengage, even taking down Thrall. That was of course exactly what they needed here. It doesn't get any better than that. 4 kills against 1 in total. We have Sprint taken on 13 for Tirana now to have a better chance of repositioning herself during the fight. With even more control thanks to Quacknix now picking up the Frost Shot, so his combo is working quite nicely. And with a double support, I would actually not even blame him going for Executioner as a level 16 talent. It's always a big commitment that you have to make to damage, since Blood for Blood is just such an amazing talent to pick up on. But with all these stuns and slows that they're currently running, I could definitely see Quacknix saying, hey, with double support, I'm just going to go for it and I'm going to put out even more damage than I already do.
I would love him to go for Executioner. Executioner plus Starfall, that is an insane amount of damage that he's going to be able to do. And then he will still have Strafe used as a follow-up. Speaking of follow-up, Unstable has been found and stunned out. He gets followed up on and is killed off by Fnatic, continuing to take control of this game.
Great kill here once again. Epsilon, they really have to make something happen right now. They need their level 13 and they will hit that any moment. But at that point, they really need to somehow engage into a battle. They lost a lot of the gems, by the way, losing these heroes. But they have still enough to turn in. The problem for them is that they haven't turned in a single gem yet. And if they can finally make that happen, that would be a great start. But now they have their 13, so it's a little bit now or never at this point.
Mighty Gust used on just Quacknix. There's the Sundering though. Catch is Uther, who's getting focused down. This end it might be able to get him. They do. But there is the Starfall. Strafe also used, but they don't want to push any further. They do not want to get caught.
Yeah, Uther actually locked down so hard that he couldn't use his Divine Shield. If he used that on himself in this situation, then he would survive and they could go for the fight. Nice stun and attempt to at least get rid of their gems. They do a great job with that, and actually at this point, if Aethero turns in, it's going to be another Web Weaver wave for them. And he's about to do exactly that. They're trying to. The turn-in, on the other hand, over here, interrupted again, and is Zagara able to complete it? It's going to be so close, Zagara, and it's the blue team with a Web Weaver wave. Again, no Web Weaver for Epsilon.
It's still being denied. They can't do anything with this. And now we are seeing Fnatic. Everyone's alive again. Uther's on his way. Starfall up in 21 seconds. That will be sooner, depending on when the next owl is. Strafe already going to be up in time for the next fight. We're Sundering down for another 15 seconds. So Fnatic looking to get ready for a big push here, but they're still leaving a couple heroes in the bot lane to push that as well, because there's no one defending the bot lane. All the pressure is on the mid lane, which means the bot lane will get some freedom. Falstad clearing the top lane, so they're not even going to bobble with it.
Yeah, here's the Phoenix trying to go for the zone, but Schwimpy is now going to move in a moment as well and can still drop that. Starfall, of course. And, well, there it is. Starfall being used. We have level 16 talents right now. And with that Stone Form and also the Brute Expansion immediately being picked up, Vala's hesitating a bit. Is it going to be the Blood for Blood or will it be Executioner? Blood for Blood taken, going for the safe path. Already Mighty Gust. Here comes the ETC Mosh Pit. It's too late. He's down. The Mosh Pit was way too optimistic here. More being used as a counter as the Strafe goes through, is interrupted by the Sundering. But the kill against Morales, and Thrall is falling as well. Fnatic with the elimination of keep number 1, and the Web Weaver still pushing the bot lane.
Yeah, the Web Weaver's still putting all of that pressure on. Fnatic can move to anywhere else on the map. Looks like they're heading up to top lane to clear that and then maybe make a play onto boss. But during that, we actually saw an amazing cleanse from Uther. Vala, the only one caught in the mosh, was cleansed out of it, and then they decided to kill ETC, which they were able to do. ETC has just come back, and Fnatic going for that boss. Very, very little that Epsilon could do about it. ETC is making his way over there, but him going in on his own would be so risky. He's gonna try though. He's gonna try to at least delay this.
The word you're looking for is stupid. It would be really, really stupid. And he's not doing it. He's actually like looking for a moment if he can make a play there, but he's not rushing into the spot, and for very good reason. That would have been a sure kill on the side of Fnatic again. 8 kills against 2 right now, and Fnatic with the boss can now aim for the second keep. They are playing an amazing game here, and they have total control over this third match.
Yeah, they are looking super solid right now. Zagara is going to get those auto attacks off, get her heroic back up as quick as possible. And they're going to be able to push this up. They're going to, at a minimum, get the towers and the gate. The Phoenix, though, doing a good job of slowly whittling down that boss. It's down to half health by the time they get to the keep, and there's the Starfall for zoning.
Yeah, Starfall for the zoning and the immediate pressure against the keep itself, with the boss now going for it too. 20 seconds until the mosh pit is ready again. We have Strafe ready, so is the Maw. So they could go for it. Don't really need to. It's a 3-level lead for Fnatic, and they are not risking anything here. They are controlling the match completely. There's absolutely no reason for them to go for moves that are a bit too risky here. They get the keep. That's all that they wanted to do here. They're moving back again, and as long as there's no level 16 for Epsilon, there's absolutely no threat to them.
Yeah, they do need to be quite careful, though. Damage is starting to become a pretty big thing for the side of Epsilon here. Falstad already onto a good 114 stacks on his on his Gathering Storm there, and on the other side we actually have Kael'thas taking Pyromaniac, so he's going to be able to spam out his abilities even more with those level 13 talents, and they've just hit their level 16, so finally we do see Epsilon on the same talents, but Fnatic are racing their ways towards 20s.
This is an incredible small timing window that we now have for Epsilon. I mean, they are already about to hit level 19, which is just so good. They have 40 gems that they can turn in, and that will bring them close to another turn in as well. As long as they don't lose the gems that they have, they will be in a good spot. They have to deal with the Web Weavers, of course, eventually here. Now that level 16 has been hit, I don't think that there's any chance for Fnatic to delay the turn in even longer. At some point, there is going to be a Web Weaver away for Epsilon, but the situation for Fnatic is just amazing. 1 level and they are 20. They're 3 levels ahead right now still.
Yeah, they are looking so strong right now. Epsilon very much grouped up. Fnatic don't even need to. They're just soaking the lanes, keeping a heartbeat on. The Quacknick's not even showing in the bot lane for a very long time, just moving in the second the minion wave is dead, grabbing the gems and leaving, coming back to his team, not even demounting himself.
Yeah, that's of course the cue immediately for Epsilon to go for the turn in at the top, since they're seeing Vala at the bottom and they realize that they have a chance right now. Vala is pushing this back even more, and that pressures of course the keep. Again hiding, it's just a play with vision that we're seeing. It's super smart here, because Epsilon doesn't really know what's going on. They don't know if there's going to be a fight happening or not, and now we have a massive push at the bot lane with the Siege Giants even starting to drop the hit points on the keep as is, and that's a massive problem for Epsilon right now. They are in a situation that is incredibly difficult for them to handle. They finally get the Web Weaver turn in, but at this point they lost so many hit points on the keep at the bot lane already, and the top and the mid lane are severely pushed back against their own core.
Yeah, they're going to be able to clear all of that, though, for the moment, and the Web Weavers will help with this, but those Web Weavers are not going to get any counter push. All they're doing is really giving Epsilon a little bit of breathing room to make their way towards their 20s, which is currently 3 levels away.
Fnatic just has to move away right now. They have to back up a little bit. It's such a huge experience lead that they have, that they will hit level 20 if they just give it a little bit of time. If they play patient and don't get into a weird battle right now with Epsilon, and there is absolutely no chance for the red team to force that fight before the extra talent is available to Fnatic. They're in a massive spot. They can sit behind the gate, just poke a little bit, and wait for the experience to tickle in.
Yep, just poking away at the minion wave, stunning out Hero Stalk, was looking to just walk behind the fort there, walk behind the tower so that he could get a mosh pit off and try and make something. But right now they haven't really been able to make anything out of this, but Fnatic just playing a bit further back. They're just going to let this fort go, but it looks a bit. Breeze just hanging around. Now going to skip his way down to mid lane and help his team deal with the Web Weaver there. Then they can rotate down and deal with the Web Weaver bot lane and just sacrifice the top fort.
Exactly. That's what they're doing here. There's no reason to really fight for it. None whatsoever. They are so close to 20.
Now
and they already defended the Web Weavers in the mid lane at the top. The fort hasn't even fallen yet.
Yeah, the fort has been abandoned because Epsilon know that if they get caught out of position with Fnatic having those level 20s, that it would be over for them. And as such, Epsilon pull back. They can't even kill off the fort. There's the 20s for Fnatic. And we see Bolt of the Storms on Vala and Zagara. The Redemption on the Uther. Celestial Wrap on the Tyrande. And the Rewind on Muradin.
Tyrande actually at the bot lane because she's the one with a global heroic ability right now that she can use. Stalk at the top here. We're having Tyrande de-pushing the bot lane, but now they can look for a fight. Once the Tyrande is back after she saved the fort at the bot, they can just simply go for a battle and try to force that victory here. Boss is up. They also have a lot of gems that they can turn in. They have actually enough to force another Web Weaver wave, and that's what they're currently looking for.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons Shrimpy was in the bot lane. He was actually just picking up the last couple gems they needed. And there we go. That is going to be a turn in. Breeze getting them a little away. And we have Tyrande and Vala finishing off in the bot lane. And that's another set of Web Weavers for Fnatic. And now they're going to move in. They're going to try and get some kills before these Web Weavers show up so they can just push for the core with them.
This is more or less a checkmate situation right now. Like, losing this would be crazy. At this point, Epsilon, the one thing that they can do is try and force a fight. And they have to force a fight against level 20, which is a bit insane in itself. But the Owls are hitting every time. We are always seeing Shrimpy just thinking about where would I position myself right now? What is the scary thing for us? Where could they trap us and try to go for a flank? And he's always hitting those Owls spot on. He knows about the position. Now they are just making their way slowly towards the core. They're waiting for the Web Weavers to do their thing as well. The bot lane keep is going to fall eventually, and Fnatic is going for victory here.
Yeah, they're pushing forward here. Breeze looking for an advantage of the Celestial Wrath, even hitting the core here, doing a bit of extra damage. There's the Strafe, just zoning people right now. They're not even going for a full team fight. They're just doing damage. Little bits of damage. Breeze coming in to distract a load of people. The Mighty Gust and the Sundering both coming out, though Vala getting focused down, but Muff gets annihilated there. There's the Maw. Odds Morales, no more healing. Web Weaver's on the core. All of Fnatic are on the core. And that is GG. And Fnatic will go on to the semi-finals.
Fnatic takes the series with a 2-1 victory after losing the initial map. Epsilon eliminated in qualifier number 2, and Fnatic advances to the semi-finals here. Congratulations and well played.